Oh, man, you never heard of the Bohemian Grove? It's a retreat in San Francisco, you know, for investment brokers, bankers, politicians, intellectuals.
A little bit of an explanation for what this Federal Reserve monopoly money is all about. What is this? Like, where do these things come from? I mean, like, this isn't really money in itself. Like, what's the deal here? We didn't always have these. Didn't we used to make them from the Treasury, or what? What's going on?
Yeah, the Treasury used to make dollars, but now the Federal Reserve prints Federal Reserve notes. And they're basically markers for resources that don't actually exist. The Federal Reserve notes are not redeemable for any commodity. That includes gold or silver, which has been traditionally stable, reliable commodities for thousands of years. The U.S. dollar was on a gold standard. That's greenbacks. They were actually backed by...
Wait, what are you talking about? Like gold you mean these things aren't backed by gold? Like what are you talking about?
That's right. They're not backed by gold. They're it's illusory money. It's essentially a Ponzi scheme. There's enough people believing in the same illusion that the House of Cards has built a lot of what we call our current global economy. There are world banks that are again privately owned, but they masquerade as governmental entities, and they are passed off as governmental entities. But the fact is, there's no true oversight. There's no true auditing of the Fed. There's no sunshine to the books.
Wait, stop it right there. Are you trying to tell me that the entity that creates our currency, when we made the Federal Reserve Act in 1913, did we really give a private corporation control of our currency? What are you, nuts?
That's exactly what happened, and the fact is that it went down with next to no oversight, and our forefathers warned us against the dangers of relying on a central bank, and including Thomas Jefferson, said one of the worst things that we can ever do is allow a government or government agency to print its own money through central banking.
Okay, now why is this a real danger? Why is this something that everybody who carries these things around should be worried about? I mean, like, oh, I got my 20 bucks, why should I care what you're talking about?
Well, for one, the fact that it's not actually backed by any commodity, the dollar is falling. The dollar is imploding because of its illusory nature. Because it is essentially a bunch of dollars stacked up like a house of cards on our collective imagination, and the reality is that imagination running thin. There's no physical backup for the currency, and the Federal Reserve is at the heart of a lot of what is going wrong with this country today. The Federal Reserve is at the heart of a lot of the corporate bailouts. The Federal Reserve is at the heart of a lot of wars that are being waged on the poor people of the world.
All right, man, you're starting to scare me. Can you tell me really quick, what kind of advantages would we have to be returning to a currency that is actually backed by something tangible?
Well, there would be a short-term, reckoning, but there would be this stabilization. It would actually shore up and strengthen the core that is currently being rotted out by derivatives, fractional reserve banking.
Oh my God, fractional reserve banking is nuts. That's when they every time you make a deposit to the bank, that's why we're doing the move your money thing, because every time you make a deposit to the bank, you're giving them the power to loan out like 10 times that amount to other people. Okay, they only have to keep 10% of it on reserve. You know, that's why they call it fractional reserve banking. So if you if you deposit like your paycheck, let's say $200 into like TD Bank or somebody, then they can they only have to hold like, I don't know, what's 10%? Like $40, the $20 of that, and then they get to loan out the rest of it, and then all these people are paying them interest, but where are they going to get that money out? So then they got to create more money and then loan it to them, and then it just creates a system of perpetual debt, and it's just ridiculous. The fractional reserve banking is deep. You got to look that up. That's a whole other discussion. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, that's a big deal, fractional reserve banking, and that's got a lot to do with the.
Oh my God! But it's really important. That's why you got to move your money to a bank that didn't participate in the liquidity in the crazy investments that got us to the liquidity crisis of 2008. You got to find the banks that are not owned by the 1%, maybe people in the 3%. I don't know. They're less evil, but you got to give your deposits literally give them power. So you got to make sure you know where your money is going. Anyway,
credit unions and good savings and loan organizations.
Wait. Yeah.
As opposed to.
Doesn't every bank have to follow the same fraction? Isn't that what the Federal Reserve does? They dictate what fraction every bank will follow.
Yes. Yeah. But if all right, consumer banking has some advantages in the superficial sense. I mean, to the most of the people out there, I mean, they need their consumer banking. So if they are going to be in a bank, why not at least pull the funding away from the ones at the top and try to spread it to the smaller business, because even though the smaller banks do participate in this terrible scheme,
they have no choice.
Yeah, and they're trying to make a living too, because these people, they make way more money than people like us do, but nowhere near as much as the people do TD Bank or Wells Fargo or Chase Bank or Now you said you convert your Federal Reserve monopoly money into hard assets and save them. Why is that better than putting it under the mattress?
Because if the money does collapse, the money itself is going to be worth nothing. It's just paper. It is backed by absolutely nothing. Durable appreciables will continue to go on at one point. When the dollar collapses financially, we're going to collapse for a short time. But when all tries to recover, the first thing that's going to wind up becoming valuable again is trade goods and durable appreciables.
I mean, is it really just paper?
It's just paper.
So
doesn't mean anything.
It only works because we trust in it?
Pretty much.
Okay, now somewhere in this. There we go, there it is. In God we trust. Did you ever look up the banking definition of what trust means?
That's kind of funny, no. I know what it means.
What they're doing is we all trust in God, but they are standing as intermediaries between us and God. They might as well be God to us. We have to trust them. That's why in God we trust. If you believe in God, trust in us. And
also, I think 15, 20 years ago, we received a $500 donation from a group or from an individual under the name of a group, an Aryan rights group that supports his stance on the First Amendment. Because Ron Paul supports everyone's freedom to organize and speak freely, and that's not always a comfortable thing, but that's where he comes down. And so because Ron Paul didn't return that $500 20 years ago, that's used as an excuse for him being a racist. Also, the Civil Rights Act. Ron Paul didn't support the Civil Rights Act, saying that businesses don't have any right to hire who they want or fire who they want or serve who they want. And so because some individuals would say, oh, well, that means you're racist because, that means white people can keep black people out.
Yeah, people who don't like the 14th Amendment.
But really,
it's a whole other thing.
The government shouldn't be meddling in business, telling anybody who to hire. It's not the moral issue of whether or not you should be fair in your hiring. It's should the federal government be involved with this?
Exactly. And that's what it is. So I mean, these people are I think legitimate in their feelings, but the coordinates that they program themselves off of are flawed. Yeah. That's what it comes down to.
All right, I want you to react to this thing I'm about to say. Okay, number one, we definitely should audit the Fed. Absolutely. Number two, there's two different ways this can go. If we end the Fed, all right, do we bring it back to the Congress and the Treasury, which are absolutely corrupt, or do we let it get into the hands of the IMF and the evil global government? You know, like, oh man, because like we're supposed to put it back into the Treasury and the Congress, but what if we end the Fed and the IMF just takes it up?
Well, I'd have to come down, myself personally, I'd have to come down on the side of representational government. Well, you said, should we put it in the hands of the Congress, which are all corrupt?
Yeah, but that's what the rules say. That's what the rules say. That's what we're supposed to do.
Well, exactly, and that's
Federal Reserve's unconstitutional.
That's where I would come down, is to put it back in the hands of the Congress, and that gives the people the ability to vote and petition their individual representatives in Congress to hold them accountable. So what that does is that puts the power into the hands of the people, albeit, yes, I know, most of them don't bother to call their congressmen, so the politicians don't necessarily get a lot of force from their constituency, but they do, there is still that mechanism. Now, just because people don't use it and hold their politicians' feet to the fire, as a general rule these days, from apathy, I still think that that's a much better route than turning everything over to the IMF, which is ultimately, I think, part of a global plot to depopulate the planet and bring it under control.
Totally. All right, so out of everybody that we talked to so far, who do you think has the most coherent thing going on?
Well, clearly the people here with the most concise and organized message, and the people here that are making the most sense and talking 2 + 2 = 4 are the Ron Paul supporters and people talking about ending the Fed. And you know, we're here apolitically. We're not here to support anything specifically, but just objectively judging the conversations that have been going on. There's a lot of vagaries, and you know, we support people expressing their anger and their discontent. But you also have to formulate your thoughts. You have to take that chaos and calm it down into ideas, which is what I feel that the Ron Paul supporters and the Fedders have done the best, even though I may not agree with everything they say 100%.
Cool. Thanks for watching, and God bless America. I want to catch the cornerstone and everything.
I don't know where the Fed is.
Alright, so what's your take? Capitalism or socialism? Which one's better?
Well, it's interesting because they're both methods of how to deal with money. Capitalism is a way to handle money in your society. Socialism is also a method for handling money in your society. Then you have people that are trying to take a more enlightened and perhaps better informed view and ask, is money still truly necessary? Now that's when you start being accused of being a socialist, because you want to talk about the obsolescence of money. But the cold hard reality, even if we as a species aren't ready to confront it, the reality is the fact that technology has enabled us to make money obsolete. We can produce enough for everyone. It's not an idealistic tree-hugging statement. It's a simple mathematical fact.
Yeah, it looks like the country that our forefathers have forged has now been replaced by an international group of elite bankers and financial oligarchs. Is there anything we can do about that? Hello?
The American Republic is in remnant status. The stage is set for our country eventually devolving into a military dictatorship, and few seem to care.
My fellow patriots, we need a solution. I think we need everybody to read the Constitution. It's our right, it's our duty. Ignoring it is lethal. To abolish the current corrupt government, its core is evil. And start a new one, by the people, for the people. We were born equal, but the government is making super soldiers like the born sequel. Getting ready for martial law, total lockdown. I wish for peace and knowledge with my genie lamp. At least you'll have your own cell at the FEMA camp. Fuck the CIA agency, I break it down from A to Z. They got the guts to say to me, don't protest or make a scene, well fuck it, let them taser me. I will not let them